What's in store for Mazda in 2024? The highest sales volume ever? More vehicles? More electrification? And another new red? And we're closer than ever to an all-new CX-5. More car vids! What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, Alabama. And in this edition of Mazda News Update, we're going to be looking at the 2024 Mazda preview. And there's so many potential good things to happen in 2024 you could share in the excitement that I have. Recently, Mazda's global CEO, Masahiro Moro, sat down with Automotive News to discuss North American market will deliver, or the volume will be up to 600,000 Mazda units. Originally, that number was around 500,000, and I thought that was just in America at the time. However, that includes Canada and Mexico as well, and they are expecting of that 600,000 to be 150,000 between our neighbors to the north in Mazda Canada and our neighbors to the south in Mazda Motor de Mexico. So that means that in this country it'll be 450,000. 2024 will be the biggest, best ever, highest sales volume as we get closer to that 400,000. And then in 2025, reach that 450,000. Mazda has recently filed with the U.S. Patent Office a new or updated red color or paint treatment. However, with the recent release of Artisan Red and Soul Red being on the market for several years, I expect this to be an all-new red, and I'm excited about it. Of course, I don't have the capacity here to understand all the breakdowns and the percentages of visibility and wavelengths and all of these other things that was filed in that patent, but to sum it up, it just means that the red is going to pop more than the current Soul Red by removing some of the dark tones or the blacks that's visible. And you can tell by those two colors of Artisan Red and Soul Red, you see more blacks in that darker, deeper red of Artisan Red. So this is going to be just another step closer to a brighter red, and it could be very similar or the exact color that we saw on the iconic SP concept at the Japan Mobility Show. And if that is the red, it looks beautiful, and I can't wait to see it up close. However, because it was on this concept, it could be several years until we see this new red or see this patent lived out. Now, what is a 2024 preview without talking about new to market vehicles or updated equipment? So let's get started with the vehicles, and I'm going chronological as far as I know. And the first one, of course, to be released to market will be the updated 2024 MX-5 Roadster, or as we call in this country, the Miata. Now, you probably remember the photos released from Japan for the Roadster, or the Japan spec model that you can see in these pictures here. Those updates, according to the Japan spec, will include daytime running lights moved from the fangs in the bumper up into the headlight assembly. Also, the tail lights and headlights will be all LED, and there's a more bold design in those rear tail lights, or the LED design there. Big mechanical news with an asymmetric limited slip differential, and this is going to provide better handling with less liftoff, and that's only available on the manual. Also, there's a new track ready stability control only on the manual, and a new color as seen at that Japan Mobility Show in Aero Gray, and this was a muted gray that I absolutely fell in love with. Looked very similar to some that we've seen in other manufacturers, and I'm excited to see if this comes to America. The last exterior change will be a new 16-inch and 17-inch wheel design, and I'm thrilled for that because the other designs have gone long in the tooth, so new wheel designs will be fantastic. And lastly, we have new tech. Finally, the Miata is catching up with the 7th gen system, so they'll have an 8.8-inch infotainment screen as well as USB-Cs, and we finally are getting adaptive cruise control, which I assume will be some type of redesign in the front bumper to allow for a radar sensor, so it'll be Mazda radar cruise control. The Japanese spec will also have a smart brake support reverse, as we see here in America is only available with the rear parking sensors. So again, I'm not sure that we'll see that in America. If we get half of this stuff or the majority of this stuff, I still think that's a win. And remember, one of the reasons that they are refreshing this Miata, because future MX-5 or future Roadster with electrification has been pushed back as well from that 2025-26 time frame to perhaps 27 or 28. We'll just have to wait and see, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we continue the chronologic order here. And of course, in the spring, somewhere in that March to April time frame, like we've seen the 90 and 23 and the 50 and 22, we will have the CX-70, the official global premiere of the styling and design in the end of January, early February. First allocations are going to take place in February, which means that we'll have more pricing and equipment information in February or March. It will have the same three powertrains: high performance inline six, the standard inline six, and of course the plug-in hybrid. The CX-70 was promised to have a distinct and unique look, so I'm excited. I believe it's going to be in the headlights and taillights and perhaps the bumpers, so we may actually see rear outlets like we do on the CX-60, and I'm holding out that that D-pillar is a different shape, more of a sport coupe design like the CX-60. This first 2025 model, the CX-70, will have less trims available than the current 24 CX-90, and I expect the 25 CX-90 to follow suit, really with shrinking those trims from those 11 of the CX-90, maybe eliminating the Select and the standard plug-in hybrid and just offering 2 or 3 of the standard inline six and the 3 Turbo S models, and then 2 plug-in hybrid models. We'll have to wait and see as we continue through the 2024 calendar year. Of course, after the release of the 2025 CX-70, somewhere in the summertime, we will probably see a 2025 CX-90, and as I just mentioned, we will be shrinking down those 11 trims, I believe, to follow suit with what the 2025 CX-70 is. They're expecting somewhere around that 30,000-35,000 CX-70, which means that it'll be somewhere in that 85,000 to 90,000 of CX-90. So although the CX-70 will be coming out, they're not predicting or not planning on the same sales volume because they still think that more people will be using a third row seat instead of the larger cargo capacity. I'm excited about the MX-5 updates. I'm excited about the CX-70. However, I believe I'm most excited, or second most excited, about this next vehicle that will be released in the summer to fall timeframe, and that's the 2025 CX-50 with a hybrid powertrain. And as released by China recently in their Chang'an Mazda collaboration, we will see the Toyota hybrid system, the hybrid synergy drive, upfitted into the CX-50 body. And it was confirmed over in China that although the Corolla Cross and the CX-50 are assembled at the same plant, the Corolla Cross uses a 2-liter version. The CX-50 will get the 2.5-liter version that is seen in the RAV4 hybrid, the Venza, the Sienna, the Highlander, etc., etc. And I'm excited for that because I would hate to go from a Skyactiv G 2.5 to a Toyota 2-liter and see some differences there, even if the fuel economy was that good. And so we will see a Toyota 2.5 engine, the hybrid synergy drive, their eCVT, from what I understand, and of course the same design that's on the RAV4 now, which will be their intelligent all-wheel drive from 2 electric motors, one in the front and one in the rear axle, unlike our current crossovers that are front-wheel driven with the iActive all-wheel drive. These will be two separate motors that pick up that all-wheel drive. And did I mention the fuel economy? This will be somewhere around 40 mpg. Yes, 40 mpg on the CX-50, and this is going to be a big game changer for this market and the other North American markets, and I guess China too. They are expecting, according to the CEO's interview, somewhere around 25% of production out of Alabama will be the hybrid. So for example, if they produce 50,000, that will be 12,500 hybrids. And I expected those numbers to reach somewhere around that 40 to 50 total production this year. And so I expect more growth next year. So we probably will eclipse the 50,000 units from MTM. They're literally just fitting this power plant underneath the body of the CX-50. So it will look identical to the vehicles we have now. However, it will have that 40 to 41 mpg EPA rating. Fantastic. And that's all the new products or updated products that we'll have in the calendar year of 2024. However, I did also want to mention some future products. The first one piggybacks off of Tom Donnelly, the CEO from Mazda North American operations, his interview with Automotive News, which was in October. He said that 18 months from then that we will have a BEV in America. So it will be a 2026 model, N25, I'm assuming, somewhere in that March timeframe. And he said it would be an existing nameplate. What existing nameplate could it be? The third gen CX-5, of course. So we will not see a new CX-5 in 2024. However, I believe that we will follow the same trend of the 70, the 90, and the 50 and have an all-new CX-5 in the spring of 25. Which will be a 26 model, and perhaps that could be the new EV. So if we have a CX-50 hybrid, we may have a CX-5 EV, which would be more suited for the international applications of the CX-5, whereas the CX-50 is just in North America and China. Can be a new EV platform that will be shared with some of Toyota's software in that small platform that can be used for future vehicles, such as perhaps another Mazda 6, Mazda 60, or another Mazda 3 EV. We could see many applications. It is going to share the same small platform as the CX-30 and the CX-50, so we don't know exactly the sizing, but I believe it will be between the 30 and between the 50, this CX-5. The next vehicle to mention, a future vehicle, would be the MX-5 or Roadster. That could be as early as 26, not next year, not the next year, but a 26. However, it could also be pushed back to 27 or 28. The MX-5 Roadster will get electrification in the next generation. And if they continue to push it back, the biggest contributing factor to how that production or new release comes to play is the weight of the new batteries. They want the lightest batteries available, and 26 may not be possible for that. They may have to continue to develop lighter weight batteries. Of course, with the 50-50 weight distribution on the current ND generation, this future NE, if that's what they're going to call it, would need to share similar driving dynamics, and weighting it down with batteries all over or in one spot or the other is not going to be fun. I think that wraps up all of my notes here on future 2024 plans from Mazda. Do remember that we are going to crush the highest sales volume, best ever, that Mazda's ever had in America. So that means more Mazdas at your local dealers and more Mazdas on the boulevard here in Enterprise, which I'm excited about, which means more car vids coming on the channel next year. I appreciate your continued support for another year, and we look forward for big Mazda news in 2024. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below, or you can text me at 334-718-0504. I'm always going to have my ear to the ground for all the latest Mazda news, and I'll see you on the next one.